Hey everybody, some gadget guy here, and I'm not a huge fan of doing device versus device, showdown, fight, battle, blah, kinds of videos because it often just becomes a spec read off of this has so many pixels on the screen, and this has more pixels on the screen, this has a screen in color, this has a screen in color too, and if you've caught my potato video, you would know that I really don't like doing videos like that. But I did want to talk a little bit about the differences between the Qualcomm Toq, which is currently my favorite smartwatch on the market today, and the new Gear 2, which is becoming maybe my second or third favorite watch on the market today. This isn't going to be a full in-depth review on the Gear 2. I just wanted to talk about some of the subtleties between these two watches and what they bring to the table. I've been using the Qualcomm Toq a lot longer than the Gear 2. And please pardon this little, I've got a quirky charger here just to hold the Gear 2 up because it doesn't stand up on its own, it sort of rolls over onto its face. I have to say, in terms of design and aesthetic, I am enjoying the Gear 2 a lot more than the Qualcomm Toq. The Qualcomm Toq is very, very much a proof of concept and a first generation watch device. And it really shows. The rubbery plastic on the watch band, the plastic face going alongside the screen. It's very easy to nick up and scratch. And then they have this trough, this edge running along the screen where gunk really easily gets in there. And I have to go in with a very fine-edged pocket knife to kind of scrape it back out. And when you start getting these little nicks and scratches on the bottom face, just from the watch banging up against things, it ages it really quickly. This overly plastic design on the Toq kind of does make it feel a little bit geekier. I think smartwatches already suffer from some sense of being the calculator watches of our generation, that they're a nerdier sort of product for consumers. And we're only just now starting to develop a little bit more of a fashion sense of some style for these types of products. And the Qualcomm kind of speaks to the earlier implementation of just let's get hardware onto someone's wrist, and so that way we can play with notifications and software. Whereas now, Samsung is into their second iteration of the Gear, and the little subtle touches and subtle flourishes really do help it not feel quite as geeky. We can talk about the watch band straight away. For the Toq to properly fit this watch band mechanism, you have to cut these little pieces of rubber off. And so once you make that cut, once you make that adjustment, that's permanent. And because of the way that they build in controls on things like the touch sensor down at the bottom and the backlight sensor at the top, you cannot switch out this watch band. And so while I like the curves on the Toq and how it sort of fits around my wrist when I'm wearing it up, this is a very obvious timepiece. It's very big, it's very bold, and it really does show off some geeky. So for people who know what it is, they know I'm wearing a little piece of nerd gear. For people who don't know what it is, it looks like a big plasticky watch. And so that can make a fashion statement, but it's maybe not the fashion statement you really want to make. So considering Qualcomm is not a fashion or wearable company, I think they've done a very good job of bringing something to market, and they've been very upfront with this being their Google Glass, that this is a proof of concept, this is a tech platform. It's not really a beta, but it's not really a mass market device that they're expecting is going to blow up the market. This is them starting their discussion on wearable technology. Now, Samsung, on the other hand, they are trying to make this a statement. They are trying to make this a companion device to their phones and something that they think people will wear in a variety of situations, be it casual or work or play. And you can see on the Gear 2 that they're starting to take some of that design language really seriously. First of all, we have a removable watch band, which is huge. I'm so happy to see this. You can swap this out. You can go with a metal band. This rubbery plastic band that they've put on the Gear 2 is much nicer, in my opinion, than what they had before. And they fought the urge to build things into the band so that you can do that. We don't have that weird pustule camera bulge anymore. We don't have the battery built into the band. And this makes the rest of the wearable on the wrist feel a lot nicer. And into adjusting the band that comes with the phone, instead of having to like cut pieces off or make that adjustment permanent, you just pop this little peg here, and then you can slide this adjustment ring up, and that's how you can fit the watch to your wrist. And this is a lot nicer than what Qualcomm has provided us. I think this just looks a little bit sleeker. It's still big, it's still bold, it still makes a geeky statement, but we're talking about a small evolutionary jump from the Toq and the original Galaxy Gear to the Gear 2. And this is a bit more subtle. And also, because I don't have anything built into the watch band, it's on the watch itself, the battery, the camera, the IR blaster, everything is on this piece here. It makes it a little bit easier if I want to wear the watch face on the inside of my wrist. And if you've seen any of my other videos on smartwatches and wearable technology, this is actually how I prefer to wear my watches in general, be they regular watches or smartwatches. But this is also a bit more subtle, I feel, for when notifications are coming to your wrist. Because of the way that you can guard this information, it's not broadcast up off the top of your wrist. And when you're in conversation, that kind of ebb and flow, I'm talking with my hands, I can kind of glance down subtly, see what's happening here, go right back into my conversation, and it's a lot less distracting than, there's an alert on my wrist, Dick Tracy style, and I must check it. You know, we don't have that kind of social problem when I don't have that kind of social problem when I wear a watch like this. Now, when it comes to the actual technology, the Samsung watch interface is very smooth. It's got a nice action to it, and when you go into specific programs, you've got a really nice, easy slide back down. They've really cleaned up this interface over the original Galaxy Gear, which I felt was a lot more confusing for all of the various features that you are trying to accomplish from your wrist. Samsung, I think, is still a little guilty of being this jack of all trades. They're dumping everything in the kitchen sink into every product that they build. And sometimes I think that works against them. Sometimes I think when we're looking for simplicity, Samsung probably isn't the company to turn to. And especially when we're bolting something to our wrist and we're interacting with a tiny little screen. This is a very small screen and we're trying to get relevant information. Sometimes feeding us everything isn't the best course of action. But I think they've done a very good job of refining and addressing all of the things that I didn't like about the original Galaxy Gear, and the Gear 2 is a much more polished experience. And especially over the firmware updates that they've done for the original Galaxy Gear, I think they've definitely improved upon this type of at-a-glance, small pieces of information style of computing. And one of the things that struck me odd about many of the reviews that I saw on the Qualcomm Toq, the number of people who were complaining about the interface feeling laggy or slow. And I have to say, I haven't had many negative experiences using the Toq. I don't think it's quite as fluid as the interface on the Gear 2, but I still have a very easy time navigating small pieces of information. We have this sideways sliding card interface. I can always get back to where I was before. I can check out, my various settings. It doesn't have the same sort of flick and slide feel, but it's a very sure-footed experience. Like, I know where I'm at, and it's very easy to see where I'm at, and I can always slide back to get to where I need to go. I haven't had any lag or lockup or stutter problems on the Toq to any great degree. Now, I still side with the Qualcomm Toq for two reasons. And this isn't to say this is a buy versus don't buy situation. I still completely understand why people would choose the Gear 2 over the Qualcomm Toq, especially when fashion is concerned. Between these two, I really love the screen on the Qualcomm Toq. It doesn't look very good indoors when I'm trying to shoot it on video because it relies on light hitting the screen to illuminate everything that's happening here. But when I'm out and about, and when I'm outside, when I actually get to see the sun, I'm not locked up in my studio, this screen glows. It's vibrant. The sunlight hitting it just wakes everything up. The colors are so much brighter and so much clearer and crisper versus the experiences that I've had with AMOLED screens outside. And this is actually really important to the discussion of the relationship between the watch and your phone. Indoors, your phone looks amazing. Outside, your phone looks like crap. And some phones are better than others, but on the whole, an LCD or an AMOLED screen doesn't matter. Direct sunlight, they're not going to look very good. And the Mirasol display here complements what's happening on my phone. And so especially since I'm walking around, it's outside, it's bright, it's on my wrist, I get an alert on my phone, I look to my watch, it's super clear, it's super easy to read, and I get on with my day. Whereas with the Gear, I still have the same problem I have with my phone. I get an alert to my wrist, and I kind of have to shade it or block it from the sun if I'm in direct sunlight, and that's not as nice an experience when I'm talking about a watch. Also, because this isn't using a backlight, this screen right here, where I've got the time showing on my main watch face, is easily visible no matter what time of day it is outside, whereas on the Gear, its natural state is screen off, and that's to help protect the battery life. That's to help lengthen how much time this watch will last out in the wild. Which brings us to the other reason why I like the Qualcomm Toq subtly over the Gear 2, and that is battery life. So if we come into settings, we're going to see that this watch is down to 60%. I've only been running this watch for a day. It was off the charger all day yesterday, starting at around 8 a.m. You can see it's 1:30 p.m. the next day, and we're down to 60% battery life here. And this hasn't been a very high usage situation. This watch has been getting just a couple alerts from a couple emails. It's Easter weekend, by the way, the time that I'm shooting this video. There hasn't been a lot of activity going on. I have been using the camera a little bit just to take a couple pictures that I'm gonna be sharing with you guys in future reviews and future videos. But we're not talking heavy usage, not my day-to-day normal usage with multiple emails going off, multiple social networks constantly pinging me, and having to turn on features like the pedometer to track my fitness workout. That means under best case scenarios with my usage, which is a little on the heavier side, I'm only going to expect that this watch is going to last me about 2 days. My record with the Qualcomm Toq is 6, which means if I take a week-long business trip, I can almost count on the Qualcomm Toq making it the whole week and me not having to bring a charger with me to keep my super fancy smartwatch powered throughout that entire period of time. And if you caught my review on the Gear 2 and the Fit 2, you have to pack that little proprietary cradle, that little clip-on charge accessory for the Gear 2 to make sure that you can charge it. And it's one more little piece of plastic to lose. So in the battery life race, the Toq definitely takes the Gear 2. And while the Gear 2 is improved over the original Galaxy Gear, it's not improved that much because we're still talking about the same kind of technologies which can drain battery life pretty quickly. You want that big, bright, beautiful AMOLED screen to look really good and juicy and crisp and colorful even when outside. Your battery life is going to plummet as it has to power brighter and brighter colors on the screen. So right now we're in that really delicate time of, the tech platform versus the more aesthetically pleasing platform. And we haven't even gotten into Android Wear and the Moto 360 and watches which will unify sort of a smartwatch platform for various phones and devices, because I think that's really going to shake up the market as well. This is proprietary to Samsung phones. This will run on just about any Android phone out there, at least I think Jelly Bean and up. But we still haven't found that one sort of unifying first step where smartwatches become a platform unto themselves. These are all still sort of the one-off experiments that are moving through the smartwatch industry. So folks, this is a sort of first comparison between the Gear 2 and the Qualcomm Toq. What smartwatches are you guys looking forward to? Are you wearing a smartwatch? What smartwatch platform did you side with? Are you a Pebble user, a Martian user, a Sony smartwatch user, a Qualcomm, a Samsung? Definitely drop me some comments below. I want to talk about wearables because I think they're going to be really, really hot over the coming months in the next year or so. As always, folks, thanks so much for watching my videos, sharing my videos, hitting that subscribe, hitting a thumbs up button, dropping me those comments down below the videos. You guys have been awesome to me, and it's so much fun sharing all this tech goodness with y'all, and I will catch you all on the next video.